And good evening once more. Tonight we add one more coach into our repertoire of coaches. Well, she's been a guest before, but now she joins as an esteemed coach. Zahra Rawjee, she's with the Uzenzele Holdings. She is the funding coach, remember that. And what they do at Uzenzele is that they help you identify or find funding. They help businesses with growth plans and saving you time and making sure that you get to the right places at the right time for your funding. And those are the things that we're going to focus on with Zahra for the next, hopefully, 30 years.
That's a long time. Good. Good in you, Rams.
I'm fine, thank you. Funding, you know, funding has always been my passion.
Yes.
Mostly because we misunderstand it, not only because we need it, but also we misunderstand it. And tonight, as you launch your space as the funding coach here on Talk with Rams, we're focusing on funding expansions. Because again, small businesses, I'm doing well, things have been okay, and I think I want to get bigger, I want to go to the next level, I want to launch in another province, I want to expand a bit, but I need money. So, from Uzenzele's point of view, from the coach's point of view, what are the three main things that business owners need, and I want to repeat, need to have in order to fund expansions?
Great question, Rams. And those three things are, I'd start with having their compliance in check. So having your company documents, your share certificates, if you're more than one shareholder, having your shareholders agreements. Do you know how many people go into business with each other and don't actually write up shareholders agreements?
Because we're family.
We're family, we're friends, we're good, we're small when we start out.
Yeah.
Writing that later down the line can be tricky. So getting that done, but even if you have to do it later down the line, get it done. Get someone to help you write that up.
May I interrupt you?
Yes.
Could I have it as an affidavit if I did not have it as a shareholders agreement?
Look, ideally, what financiers are looking for is a shareholders agreement. It's on their list of compliance documents, if I can put it that way. And even for the business itself, it's important to have a shareholders agreement because as the business grows, how shareholders interact with themselves, how they deal with problems, how they deal with growth, should be defined by that shareholders agreement. So that's the compliance documents, and there's a range of them. If you do a tender, if you apply for finance, if you want to buy a vehicle for your business, whatever the case might be, there's this list of compliance documents.
They seem to be constant.
They're pretty consistent across the board. One of those compliance documents is, I'm also going to say, is the second requirement that a business needs to have, and that's their financials and management accounts.
That's nightmare of us business people.
Yes, and I spoke at length about this at the last show that I was here for.
Yes.
But it is that critical because your financials tell financiers what's happening in the business. So that's the second thing businesses need to have, good financial records. And then the third thing is, and a lot of businesses don't consider this to be as important, but is to have the right team and to have your market. So to say that I want to go into a new market, you spoke about as a growth option or as an expansion option. I want to go into a new market. Well, does that market have space for you? Are there clients for you in that market? So your client needs to be defined, and then you need to have the right team to be able to actually grow that business further. So a lot of the time, you're starting off small. Now your plans are to go big.
Yeah.
Right? And going big requires different skills, requires different professional people at the table to when you're small. And understanding that and bringing the right people on board, whether they be internal or outsourced, is extremely important.
Would it be helpful that I would go and test that market first before I go seeking the funding to, should I go test
Always
it?
good,
Yeah.
always good. And what we say to businesses that are looking to expand into new markets, I've got a business that I'm working with at the moment, and they've done extremely well for themselves in Limpopo, and now they want to move to Mpumalanga. And what they did first, and I was so grateful to see that when they came to speak to me about accessing funding for them, but they've been to the market, they've engaged with the market in Mpumalanga, they've understood where are the pains the same as they experienced in Limpopo, will they be able to apply the same model as they did in Limpopo? The answers are pretty much across the board yes, but they went out and they engaged with the market to make sure that if they go into Mpumalanga, they will be a successful business.
How I explain that concept mostly to a lot of people is that you have to put your money first in before you ask for somebody else's money.
Absolutely.
Because testing that market means you do your own first investment, maybe small. But once you spend a rand, you can go to somebody else and say, give me 100 rand because this 1 rand has shown potential. Is that what we're talking about?
To a certain extent,
Yeah.
yes. And it all depends on what you're doing. So certain things require less market research than others. I mean, we're dealing with some businesses that require full-on market research companies to come in and do an analysis of the markets to ensure that the business will be viable. So each business requires a different level of market analysis, but it is important to have that market there.
I'm always wary about cliches and things that could confuse in communication. What is the difference between growth and expansion?
It's a good question as well. Growth is where your business is not looking to necessarily open a new branch or expand your production line. You're growing. You've got space to grow, generally speaking. So you're busy selling to one supermarket, but you know that you've got enough stock to sell to a second supermarket if you're selling a good. Or you've got a machine in place, and what you realize is you're only using 70% of your machine capacity, but you'd like to take that up, so you've got 30% left. So there's room for growth, and you're in that growth phase. You're getting new clients. It's sort of it makes sense, and it's structured in a way. And typically, the type of finance that's needed for growth is your working capital type finance. Things for maybe a little bit of bring in a few extra people, so some salaries, stock, raw materials if you're manufacturing. That's the type of funding you need for growth.
Yeah.
When you look at expansion, now you're talking about adding to your business, increasing its size. And in that, if we look at manufacturing, you're generally talking about either putting in another production line, or you're talking about moving to another area, whether it be within the country or overseas. That's expansion now. You're expanding your footprint, you're expanding your business, you're making yourself available to a whole new market.
Yeah. And is that funding more difficult than the growth funding?
It's not necessarily more difficult. At the end of the day, it comes down to the numbers and if it makes sense. If you can justify the expansion, funding will generally be available. And justifying that expansion is all these elements together, showing that you've got good financial records if you are already in business, showing that you've got the right team in place, showing that there is a market, showing that you're willing to bring on support when you need support. A lot of financiers will ask you to bring on business development support or post-investment support, and be willing to do that.
I hope I did not ask this question differently earlier, and I hope it's a new question. What type of funding is there for expansions?
There's a lot of funding for expansions.
I'm glad it's a new question.
So the types of funding are varied, and it depends on the business, the type of expansion, and what it is you're looking to do. And this is where we come in when we speak to businesses, is we say to them, we understand what expansion are they looking to do, and then help them in terms of identifying the right funding. Typically speaking, after you've put in your own sweat and your own money, and you've gone to friends and family, and your own savings.
Stolen, you've cheated.
You've done, let's try not steal and cheat, but you've done what you can with what you've got. The next step is either debt, equity, so private equity type investors, and developmental funding. And that comes in the form also of debt as well as grants. And we love to assist businesses with grants where we can. Grants are available primarily for industrial type businesses. So they're there to fund things like your capital expenditure, your tools, equipment, machinery, some commercial vehicles, a little bit of business development support that may be required. But majority of the grant funds that are out there are there to fund machinery. And the reason for that is government wants to support businesses that are adding to the economy.
Yeah.
So if you're manufacturing, not only are you creating jobs, hopefully in that manufacturing process, it is tricky now, things are getting more automated, but you still need people, you're generally creating jobs. You're also then, you're creating a product that's going into the economy, you're creating a product that can be exported, so thereby bringing foreign currency back into the country. So there's various elements of that, of manufacturing that create economic impact.
Is there a time frame? Is it, could I start a business today and in a year's time I say I want to expand? I mean, would that be premature, or there are no rules? It depends on how the business is growing.
It depends on how the business is growing. Once it just has to make sense. So if you've started a business and it's done so well, and we've seen that, you see these businesses that start up one day, usually there's significant work before that day one of starting trading. But from day one of trading and starting your business, some businesses just do extremely well and explode. And they need that support in terms of finance. If you can show that your business has done well, that your growth is sustainable, it's not some fluke or some chance, but it's sustainable, financiers generally wouldn't have a problem. A lot of the time though, your sources of finance, if you're not in manufacturing, may be private equity.
Why should our entrepreneurs come to you when they want to get this funding for expanding or for growing?
Well,
Why should they come to Uzenzele?
what we do is we assist businesses understand the funding landscape. So one is understanding what is the right type of funding for you. Secondly, we understand what financiers are looking for and what they're willing to finance. A lot of the time businesses will come to us, and if I can use an example of one of my clients, they came to us and they said, I need 15 million rand for a machine. That's all I need you to help me with. Help me get 15 million rand, I need a new machine. They were in expansion. They'd reached 100% capacity on their current, they had 2 production lines. They needed a third because they were turning away business. They couldn't manufacture anymore. So we need to expand, we need a third production line, and that's going to cost us 15 million rand. I said, okay, so I can help you with funding, not a problem. There's debt, there's grants. If you want grants, let's increase it a bit and let's see what else can the grant pay for. And a lot of the time businesses don't realize that what they need is not just that machine, but they need everything that's going to make that machine work. And even unpacking what's going to make that machine work requires someone to assist you through that process. Once we've identified all of that, we package that application. And we decide before we package the application, where are we going to access the funding from, so that it is geared for that specific funder.
She's being modest. What she means is that they've got 60 years experience of doing this stuff. That is why you should be talking to Uzenzele Holdings. She'll be here every 6 weeks. Zahra Rawjee, she's our funding coach. And before I sign off, you gotta tell them she's got her own podcast. You need to promote that podcast right here.
It's up and coming.
I like it. Tell them where to find it.
Well, it will be coming up soon on our YouTube channel. That's Uzenzele Holdings. And once it's actually live properly, we're still testing some things out, I'm going to let you know and we'll talk about it.
And you'll see me back here anyway.
Absolutely. 6 weeks time.
Excellent. And your contact details, at the website, where do they find you?
Businesses can find us on our website, www.uzenzele, that's uzenzele.com. And we recommend as much as possible, have a look through this. There's so much information. We share a lot of information. Have a look on the websites, and then we've got a form. Fill that in. It's the first level of us determining whether or not we can help you, and if we can't, trying to direct you to the people who can. You can also find us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook at Uzenzele, and our phone number is 012-346-5174.
Well, we're going to repeat all those details. As you know, we repeat everybody's details on this program. So she will be here every 6 weeks, hopefully more often than that, depending on our program. Do follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, Talk with Rams. And of course, we hope you have done the right thing. If you haven't, you're going to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Talk with Rams. When we come back, we talk more. Zahra, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rams. Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.